Hey friends, how you doing? This is Charles here. And as we know, July 26th was Ring of Honor's Death Before Dishonor pay-per-view. And I just started watching again. So I figured I would review the Ring of Honor pay-per-view on Honor Club and tell you what I thought about it. And tell you what I liked. Maybe I'll touch on a little bit what I didn't like. But overall, I mean, the main show was maybe 3.5 hours. And it was, even the lows were pretty good. And the good stuff was freaking incredible. Usually, pre-shows nowadays are used to just trying to sell the pay-per-view, maybe one or two meaningless matches. But the pre-show did have a couple of notable matches on it. Marina Shafir took on Angelica Risk and won with a damn submission move. I've seen the move before, but the way she transitioned into it was insane. Um, it looked like she was almost she caught her, and it looked like she was almost going to do like some kind of tilt-a-whirl slam, but instead just like held in midair for a choke out. It was very impressive. And another notable pre-show match was the debut of the MXN collection, otherwise known as the Maximum Male Models, from WWE, and they were entertaining as hell. And the one thing that you notice they stand out as far as, and this isn't a knock on Ring of Honor or AEW, because I love wrestlers of all shapes and sizes. As long as you can wrestle competently, I don't care what you look like. But you see Mace in there with some of these guys from Ring of Honor, and it was clear that he was a former offensive lineman. These are big cats that maybe didn't stand out so much in WWE. Definitely Ring of Honor. The match was exciting, crisp, clean, and they did a lot of comedy stuff without insulting the viewer. So I'm just gonna run down the match card, talk about some stuff. Um, let's get the lows out of the way first. They had a match between Devon Eriks and Dustin Rhodes versus the Dark Order, and I guess it was a qualifying match to win the vacant Ring of Honor six-man tag championships. I'm glad. It seemed like for a while they were going to ditch the six-man tag championships, so I'm glad that they're keeping them around. But it was kind of a, I don't know, to be in the middle of a pay-per-view was kind of a loud match. The Dark Order, they haven't really won anything, and the Von Erichs are new to major crowds, and they're still their identity, their wrestling style. They're just the Von Erichs. I mean, take away the name, they're just, in my eyes right now, they're just another tag team. Um, and so them being, they won by the way, but them being put into this spotlight just because they're a name, it could go well, it could go wrong. I mean, there were a lot of the same things said about Dustin Rhodes, who you may know as Goldust. When he first started, he was brand new and really coasted on his name, but he got very good very fast. So I'm hoping that it'll be another situation like that with the Von Erich still. I mean, it was a good match. You had some freakish shows of strength from John Silver. Um, it was crisp tag team work by the Dark Order. Um, Marshall Von Erich, his timing stood out to me as a little bit off, but they look great. And if they're going to be under the tutelage of Dustin Rhodes, I think it's going to be a good thing. Another low for me was the match between Layla Hirsch and Diamante. They have a rivalry that's been going on a while, but um, it's really not. I mean, it's portrayed as being something needed, but they really didn't build up like that. And then what they did on Thursday's episode of Ring of Honor TV, is they had them have a hardcore street fight, which is usually the blow off of a feud. But then, literally the next day, they had a Texas death match, and they're both great wrestlers, but they're known for their in-ring work and not so much the brawling in hardcore spots, and it was just unnecessarily bloody. When they could have just had a great singles match. But like I said, I don't like talking too much about negatives. So let's get on to some stuff. I did like the six-man elimination gauntlet with Brian Cage, um, a cat out of Mexico. What was his name? Like I said, okay, yeah, can't really see his name, but he's a CMLL guy. Yeah, Atlantis Jr. Yeah, so we had Lee Johnson, Leo Rush, Atlantis Jr. from CMLL's champ, Shane Taylor, um, Johnny TV, and Brian Cage. They did some good stuff. They made Shinto look strong, even though he was the first eliminated. They all had to gang up to eliminate him. Leo Rush was quick and amazing and worked well with everybody. Um, toward the end, Cage and Johnny TV teamed up to get the last few eliminations. And with one guy being outside of the company, Atlantis Jr., and you had two of your bigger mid card names in Brian Cage and Johnny TV, you felt like it was going to go to one of those two guys, but Atlantis Jr. pulled it out at the end, and it looks like there's going to be this continuation of him being involved in Ring of Honor, which isn't a bad thing. I love the Lucha Libre style. And speaking of Lucha Libre, a great match. The first match, they came out hot. Commander versus the Beast Mortis. He used to be known as what was his name in TNA wrestling? I cannot remember his name. Black Taurus. Has a crazy mask, a real good look. And for Luchador, he's more on the powerhouse side. And the stuff they were doing was just insane. Um, it moves I haven't seen before. There was one spot where the Beast Mortis caught a dive, and he ran. He with Commander in his arms, he ran to the corner like he was gonna run him into the corner. But no, he pressed him and threw him over the turnbuckle onto the steel connector that connects the turnbuckle to the post. I've never seen that before. It looked like he almost chucked him out of the ring. It was one of those things that was like, but there were lots of those moments in this pay per view. But that's how they started off. Like I said, outside his two goals, I really dug it. Um, we also talk about the Pure Ring of Honor Pure title match. That was a good match. It was between Lee Moriarty and Willa Yuta. They were neck and neck. They both had momentum at different spots. They both used their rope breaks. Um, they both used their close fist punch. Because if you do more than one close fist punch to the face, you get disqualified. The Pure Rules matches, supposed to be a throwback. And it was a great technical wrestling match. And it was over 20 minutes, but it didn't feel like it. A lot of people don't like that style and say it's boring. But I love that shit, and it was just 20 minutes of great chain wrestling. And the interesting dynamic is that both of these guys are kind of in that place of being a bad guy, yet they're still pretty beloved. And so they didn't really make them choose one way or the other. They were both just they were both portrayed as great wrestlers who could be dastardly dickheads. And it was a great match, very even, very competitive, and it reminded me of what wrestling should be, to where you can suspend your disbelief and be like, okay, yeah, this is a fight. This is So that's one that if you only see one match and you're a wrestling fan, catch it. Catch that pure wrestling match. Lee Moriarty, a new champion. I don't hate it. They both look great, and there was a great show of respect at the end by Maluda. Um, Another match I enjoyed was the Billy Starks Red Velvet match. Um, Billy Starks really leaned into this new bad guy persona. Dark makeup, and black entrance jacket, crazy shades, and she was just doing all of the heel bad guy tactics to win. And she even faked another injury, getting advantage, but it was scouted. Red Velvet was the better competitor and won. I would have really liked to see Billy Starks win. I think she's a dynamic wrestler, really developing a personality. But Red Velvet, you can't hate. Her work has been uh, great. She's always getting better. Um, ever since she was kind of, her first big push in AEW was it was supposed to be a match between Randy Rhodes and Cody Rhodes versus Shaquille O'Neal and Jade Cargill. And Randy Rhodes had to drop out because she was pregnant. So they put Red Velvet in that spot, and that was just a rocket ship for her. Her stock really took off, and she became a mainstay of AEW that night. And so it's great to see her finally win the championship. What else? I talked about that match. The tag team match with the Undisputed Kingdom of Matt Taven and Mike Bennett versus Kyle O'Reilly and Tomohiro Ishii was good. Um, they linked Tomohiro Ishii. If you're not familiar with New Japan, his thing isn't flashy moves. It's not entertaining. It is hitting people hard and throwing people on their heads with suplexes, and taking a lot of punishment. And with the wrong opponent, that can get boring, or it could really slow down a match. But Matt Taven, Mike Bennett, and O'Reilly really worked to make his stuff fit in, and you know, it was a great match. The champions was handled, Speedy King retained, but Ishii did his thing. There were some of the most vicious, cringe-inducing chops and suplexes that you will ever see. Kyle O'Reilly was sharp as always. Matt Taven, who I see is very underrated. His high point was winning the Ring of Honor Championship, and I hope to see him get back up to that point at some time in the future. He was great. He did most of the character work, and Mike Bennett was great as well. Let's see what else happened. As I said, you have to bear with me. This is my first one of these. I'm just going over the real notable stuff, okay, and then we get to we're just going to go to the two main events. The first one between Athena and Queen Aminata. Um, I usually have very few good things to say about Queen Aminata because um, while she looks great, she has a lot of charisma. A lot of her wrestling doesn't look like wrestling. A lot of her wrestling looks like choreography. And there was a lot of that. There were times, where she went for a double stomp and clearly missed it. Went for a kick, clearly missed it. It was like she was afraid to make contact. And Athena is great as always. And I can't say it was the best Queen Aminata match I've seen. Despite, my criticisms, it was a great match. You take away the hesitation of Queen Aminata's part, and it was a good match in the end. Um, They built it up over a long period of time. It's quite a long match. And in the end, Queen Aminata did look credible despite her missed moves. And the finish was kind of a dusty kind of schmoz with the interference from Billy Starks and Lexi Nair. Um, Athena won with a microphone shot behind the referee's back, and the old face, that move where she does a flip off the turnbuckle into a stunner, looked incredible. Um, I think Athena has been the star of Ring of Honor television. She's been a champion for over 600 days. She has looked like a monster when she's had to. She's been underhanded when she's had to. And like I said before, when I did my other video on Ring of Honor, they are building her up to the point to where when she does get beaten for that championship, is instantly going to make a star because she's been built up so much in the right way. And then, yeah, she won. I was happy about that. And, I think that she definitely raised Queen Aminata's stock in Ring of Honor. I would like to see Queen Aminata really tighten up the moves, but that's just me nitpicking. And if you're not as damn picky and observant as I am, you won't notice it. And so it's not as bad as I'm probably making it sound. Taking a drink here because we're going to talk about the main event. Roderick Strong versus Mark Briscoe. These guys have a lot of history and they lean into it. These guys have met in the ring 50 times together, but never for a single titles. They were friends, and the story they were telling was that Jay Briscoe and Roderick Strong were on this level, and Mark Briscoe was right behind him. He was always going to be right under them in the pecking order. And Roderick Strong being a one-time Ring of Honor champion, this was surely going to be his second Ring of Honor championship. And it was more about Mark Briscoe. Is he going to be able to live up to his brother's legacy and max the prowess of Roderick Strong? And it was a damn good match. Um, it was pretty even. Roderick Strong, of course, hit a million backbreakers and a lot of just cringe-inducing heavy chops. Pretty early in the match, he bounced Mark Briscoe off of the steel post, and he was bleeding like a stuck pig for the rest of the match. It was pretty compelling. I personally thought that Roderick Strong, I was rooting for him. I thought it was going to be his night, but it wasn't his night. But, there was interference. There was great wrestling. At close to the end, the rest of the Undisputed Kingdom came out. They tried to interfere, but Mark Briscoe fought him off valiantly. And when it was looking like the distractions were going to be too much, Ed Rush, Tomohiro Ishii, and Kyle O'Reilly. And they kind of cleared the house of the interlopers. And Mark won it clean. It was a brutal match. It was a beautiful match. It was a good story told. Nothing did not make sense. And the good guy won in the end. And, I'm sure that Roderick Strong is going to have, he's going to have his day again. And he looked great in the match. It was his birthday. Happy belated birthday. He definitely showed out for his birthday, and it was a great match to close out. A really exciting pay-per-view. Like I said, the two roles of the night were still damn enjoyable matches, and the stuff that was good was great. if you don't have Honor Club, and you have $10 to spare and you like wrestling, I can't suggest it enough. You get the weekly shows every Thursday night, and you get specials like Death Before Dishonor and Final Battle, included for $10 a month. That's better than Netflix. Um, a probably the best pay per view I've seen in quite some time. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they do now. They have made a commitment to really focus on Ring of Honor. Coming out of this, they're gonna have uh, specific tapings as opposed to just having them tag along for the AEW tapings. They're gonna have their own tapings. They're gonna have a specified roster, and they're gonna have you know just as much attention paid to them as the other shows. And that can only mean bigger and better for them. Anyway, if you guys like this video, let me know. I'll do some more reviews of the wrestling shows I did and other nerd stuff. Um, I don't watch it. I don't watch a wide variety of stuff, so don't expect WWE or even AEW big pay-per-views. And it's not that I have anything against them. It's just I have my preferences, and you only have so many hours in a day, so I'm not gonna watch every pay-per-view. But I really enjoyed this one, Death Before Dishonor 2024. I give it an A. Anyway, y'all be easy. We'll see you next time. Until then, keep buying them action figures and keep watching that wrestling.